Deputy Bríd Smith.
Well, look forward to being allowed as much rope on the next issue. Yesterday we celebrated the foundations of the state. We were all there. Indeed, the constitution of this republic allows for the freedom of association, the right to join a trade union of choice, and it's enshrined in the constitution as a fundamental right. Now, we have statements on laws about unions in this country, but my question to the Taoiseach today is to ask, what is your attitude to, given the celebrations of the foundations of the state, the laws and the constitution, and the fact that we have 500 paramedics and ambulance personnel on picket lines today fighting for their right to join a union of their choice? Is there not a fundamental contradiction between the laws that are enshrined in the rights enshrined in the constitution and the laws absent from this Parliament, and what is your intention in addressing that fundamental void?
Before you answer, Deputy Ruth Coppinger has a similar short question.
Okay, well, given that hundreds of paramedics and ambulance personnel are forced out onto cold picket lines today, by a 98% vote they've chosen to join NASRA. Will you, Taoiseach, instruct the HSE to deal with that union? Because there's two essential issues here. There's one, that it's not about what the boss or the employer wants. It's meant to be about what the worker chooses to be their representative union. And secondly, you can't go around bragging about being the best performing economy in Europe, finding £500 million in extra corporation tax, and then telling workers that they must put up with pay restraint and health cuts. Health workers, it'll be next week, nurses. You have to give in, Taoiseach.
Cullinane is a similar question, brief question.
Taoiseach, why is it that your government and indeed the HSE are allowing a situation where ambulance paramedics are being dictated to as to which trade union that they should be members of? You are entitled legally in this state to join a trade union of your choice, and yet in this situation ambulance paramedics are on strike because the HSE will not recognise the trade union of which they belong, and that's having a consequence for patients who are without full ambulance cover because of that position that your government, it seems, and the HSE is supporting, and you need to act on this very quickly, Taoiseach.
Deputy Doherty, similar.
It's on the same issue, Taoiseach. You told us that you were going to take a special interest on the issue of health this morning, and I send solidarity messages to the workers, the paramedics and the ambulance personnel who are on strike demanding union recognition of their choice. Can I ask you what personal activities or what interest did you take in relation to this issue? Because we have the HSE simply refusing to deal with this issue. We have the HSE simply refusing to meet with NASRA in relation to contingency planning. And in the middle of all of this, there are patients, there are people, particularly in rural and isolated communities, that are fearful of that if something could happen and that the service is not there, and this is happening on your watch. And they have warned you that they will escalate unless this is dealt with. So take an interest and sort this out.
Same issue. I think it's got a fair air in the Deputy Buckley.
Today over 500 paramedics and ambulance staff have gone on strike over the row with union recognition. But this is the real story. I listened to one paramedic this morning on 96 FM, and she clearly stated that the workers did not want to go on strike. And more importantly, like her and many others, they love their job and they love what they do. But they had no choice, she said, and she continued to say that it should be the right of all workers to nominate a trade union of their choice to represent them in negotiations for wages and, more importantly, working conditions. Now, if we cannot get the HSE to work with NASRA and the PNA, we will be facing more strikes, and it's the knock-on effect of this. It's going to be absolutely atrocious. And think about it. These people love what they do, but we're not giving them proper representation or even a choice.
Well aired. Taoiseach to respond.
Understand it. Any worker, even somebody who isn't in employment, is free to join a trade union if they so wish. However, it's not a requirement that any employer, either a public employer or a private employer, has to collect the union dues on behalf of that union. Nor is it a requirement that they necessarily recognise that union. As things stand, the HSE recognises 3 unions already that represent paramedics and ambulance staff, and they are all unions affiliated to ICTU, and government engages with the union movement through
Deputies,
ICTU.
please. No. Hold on. No, deputies. I've given it. No, we don't need it. I've given it a fair airing. We're now going to the rural independence. Sorry, Taoiseach. Sorry, deputies. Deputies, you mightn't like what you've heard, but the Taoiseach's answered. No. Deputy Matty McGrath, listen, listen. The Taoiseach has answered. The Taoiseach has answered. I have no control over the Taoiseach's answers. Deputy Michael McGrath, Matty McGrath, I have no control. No control over the Taoiseach. Deputy Matty McGrath, no control. You'll have to find another. You'll have to find another. You'll have to find another means. Deputy McGrath. He doesn't want to.
That's not going on. This is outrageous. The same happened last week. The same happened last week. This is outrageous.
Resume your seat. Resume your seat, please. I have no control over the Taoiseach's answers, and that's the precedent. Deputy, you'll have to find another way.
Sorry,
Deputy, no.
I know. The question, and the Taoiseach should respond. And show some respect.
Deputy Cullinane, you're here long enough to know that I have no control. Deputy, no, now.
Point of order. The Taoiseach was interrupted because he put infactual and inaccurate information on the floor of this House, and he was corrected by Deputy Louise O'Reilly. The Taoiseach should answer the question: is he going to take a personal interest in this issue and to lift the fear and vulnerability of patients right across this country as a result of this strike?
I have no control. I would ask you to accept that I have no control over the Taoiseach's response. I'm not depriving him. I'm not depriving him. No. Deputy McGrath.
Please offer him the chance to respond.
Well, I'll give you that opportunity.
Thanks very much.
Limit you to 1 minute, please.
Thanks very much. Last Concor. First of all, there are ambulances. The majority of paramedics, medics and ambulance staff in the National Ambulance Service are working today, and they're represented by 3 unions that are recognised by the HSE, SIP2, Unite and Forsa. Anyone is free to join a breakaway union if they so wish, but it's not a requirement that a public sector employer or a private sector employer has to collect those union dues. Unions can collect the union dues themselves, and it's not a requirement. And it's not a requirement that employers have to recognise every union for which somebody is a member. They recognise 3 unions already: Unite, SIP2 and Forsa.
Deputy Matty McGrath. Now, deputies, I give the Taoiseach an opportunity. Deputy Matty McGrath. Deputies.
It's outrageous.
Deputy, I give you all an opportunity. I can't be responsible for his response. But if
they want their own Dáil. They want their own Parliament ability.
Deputy Matty McGrath.
Thank you.